Hey everybody, I want to go over with you the expanded research project that we're going to be spending just about the entire rest of the semester on. Um, First though, just a few quick reflections on how the first half of the semester has gone. First of all, I want to acknowledge that we're still in the middle of this pandemic, and I know that that makes things harder. Learning online is challenging anyway if this is an environment that you haven't been used to learning in before. It demands that you're extra motivated and on top of things when it comes to watching the videos and checking in and those kinds of things. But learning during a pandemic, when I know some of you have been battling your own illness, family members' illness, other kinds of tragedies, extra work hours, I know that this has been really challenging. So I just want to acknowledge that and thank you for all the work that you're doing. Don't forget that we have the same cushion, at least 45 points of cushion in the informal or process work category. So you can miss a few little things in the informal category without it taking a toll on your grade. And don't forget that you can ask for extensions ahead of time whenever you need them, okay? So far, let me talk about some patterns that I've noticed when it comes to successful essays so far. The students, generally speaking, who wrote the most successful exploratory essays so far have generally shown a pattern of watching the videos and reading the handouts, and that makes sense because if you're spending time with those materials, you understand the requirements, so you're meeting those requirements. Generally, the strongest essays were written by students who have taken time to read feedback on previous assignments and apply that feedback, implement that feedback. So, for example, if I comment that I'd like you to work on introducing quotations, you figure out what I mean by that, look at the resources, and then try to work on that for the next essay. Also, don't forget the importance of being in touch. I know we have these required email check-ins, but even above and beyond that, when you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us, okay? So all of those things will help you in the second half as well. Let's talk about what to expect with this expanded research project. First of all, we're going to be spending about 6 weeks on this from this week until the day that you turn in the final paper. Okay, we're going to take a deeper dive into one of your projects. There are a couple additional formal steps with this one so that I can give you feedback along the way and so that we can continue to help you work on those course objectives that are outlined in the syllabus. One of those things that will be done more in the second half is the emphasis on giving and acting on feedback. So there'll be some peer review, but I'm also going to want to see that you're reading my feedback and using it in your papers as you go forward. We're going to continue with metacognition so that you can continue to think about how you're growing as a reader, as a writer, as a researcher. So we'll continue with the email check-ins and self-appraisal, but there's also going to be a really short 200-word midterm mid-semester reflection letter, and then a final reflection letter that's already in the syllabus instead of a final exam. Okay, and again, I just want to emphasize, I would be happy to meet with you, and so would Bill, to talk with you about any part of this process, any questions that you have on previous work, and anything coming up in the second half of the semester. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us. So let's take a look at the actual assignment here in D2L. So I want you to read this carefully. You'll notice that at the top of the page, I'm listing the skills that we are going to continue to develop. We are now that you've started the process of exploring your question, you get to pick one and dig deeper, okay? All of this will lead to a research paper, a persuasive research paper. You will take a position this time and support it with the research that you have found and are finding. This paper will be at least 750 words, not counting the works cited list. So for most fonts, that's about 6 pages plus the works cited list, okay? This open-minded exploration that you did in the first half, understanding both sides of the debate, is going to be an excellent foundation for what you do going forward. And we're going to talk about how to use the one side of the debate that you didn't necessarily agree with to address opposing viewpoints in your final paper. So all of it will be a good foundation for you to build on. So here are the deadlines. There are a couple of modifications from what the syllabus says. So use this updated course schedule, and I'll put a lot of details in D2L as well. The first thing I want you to do is write your proposal and submit a SAW on any kind of source that will help you answer your research question, a new source that you consult this week. Okay. These bigger assignments with the asterisk next to them, I will follow up with a more detailed assignment. Okay. Note that most of your research should be done by the end of this month. So the next couple of weeks are going to be really critical for you to do as much research as time permits you to do using good quality sources. You'll notice that in about a month, you will submit an essay draft of at least 1,200 words. So at least 3 to 4 pages. You will do a peer exchange with that, but I will also give you some feedback on that draft during conferences, so you'll have ample opportunity to get feedback before your actual essay is due. And the revised essay will be due near the end of April. You'll have an opportunity to revise it if you want to, but that essay is worth 200 points. The exploratory papers were only worth 50, so you can kind of see this is really important, right? All right, so on this page, I talk about how to choose which question to explore in more depth. Ultimately, I want you to think about how you're going to enjoy spending your time these next 5 weeks, but also what's going to be most appropriate for college level research. Where are you going to be able to find the best sources? What has the potential to become a good college level persuasive essay where you take a position and support that position with the research that you find? Okay, so read this over carefully. Remember, it's totally okay if your research question has evolved. In fact, I expect that for almost everybody, that your research question will have been narrowed down or maybe tweaked depending upon what you find. If you have any questions about whether you want to slightly alter your path, just let me know. Okay, I've given you an example here of how you might start with a broad question and narrow it down depending on what you found with your exploratory projects. Okay, you should still be keeping an open mind. You should still be doing the best you can to seek out good research, not just research that conforms to your previously formed beliefs. You'll have to have at least 5 good sources, at least 2 from one search, and at least 1 scholarly journal article. Please read the rest of this. So this means reading at least 8 to 10 new sources over the next couple of weeks. All right, other expectations are listed here: asking for help, finding and evaluating sources. Please read this part carefully about sources that might not be appropriate any longer for later stage research. Taking notes, please read these suggestions. And then finally, I've included some advice, actual advice from my previous English 102 students. On the last page of this handout is the assignment for the proposal. It's very similar to the previous proposals that you've written, slightly different in that instead of telling me 3 new sub-questions, you could give me sub-questions, or you could simply summarize where you plan to take your research from here, what your thoughts are, what it is that you want to explore. Okay, and I also want you to start thinking about why your readers will be interested in reading about this. Remember, your audience will be me and the rest of the class and Bill. Okay, so think about why this broad college audience with a variety of interests and backgrounds will want to know more about your research question. That will be due on Friday. If you have any questions, make sure you reach out. I know I'm a broken record on this, but I don't want you to feel like you're doing this alone. Bill and I are both here to help you, okay? Your exploratory essays have been really, really interesting to read, so I know that you can continue to do a good job with the expanded project as well. Have fun with it. Be curious.